Good evening and welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan. This is my brother Rustin, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And yes, you saw that correctly. That was the football intro that we played tonight because we are right around the corner from SEC Media Days. And this will actually be our last show prior to SEC Media Days. I'm going to be incommunicado for a little bit. And so we'll traveling a little bit. So this will be our last show probably till July the 18th. So about a little over a week, almost 2 weeks. So we wanted to go ahead and go live tonight to make sure that we did preview SEC Media Days. And the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to give our predictions of who do we think Tennessee is going to take with them to SEC Media Days. And so you will please let us know in the comments. We're going to pick three guys. So you please pick three and put those in the comments. Just so everybody knows the schedule for SEC Media Days, I've got it right here for you. On Monday, July 15th, the SEC Media Days are July 15th through 18th. On Monday, July 15th, this is the order in which the head coach will appear at the podium in Birmingham. I'm assuming it's still in Birmingham, SEC Media Days. I don't think they moved it to Nashville or anything. We're going to assume it's in Birmingham. That it hasn't been changed or anything.
Actually, no. This is the first year they've moved it. I forgot about this. It is in Dallas. They've started that rotation timeline, and this year SEC Media Days is at the Omni in Dallas.
Well, there you go. I guess catering to the University of Texas a little bit. I know they're in Austin, but it's closer to Dallas than Birmingham. So the first day, July 15th, Brian Kelly from LSU will lead off everything. Then Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss. Then Shane Bieber from South Carolina. And then Clark Lee from Vanderbilt. That'll be day one. Tennessee shows up on day two. That's Tuesday, July 16th. Kirby Smart starts the day off for Georgia. And then Eli Drinkwitz from Missouri. Josh Heupel comes to the podium next for the real UT. And then Brent Venables for Oklahoma. It is a curious pairing, that group right there. We'll come back to that. I have thoughts on that. We'll come back to that. Let's see, the 17th, which would be Wednesday, Alabama and Kalen DeBoer starts everything off that morning, followed by Billy Napier in Florida, and then Jeff Lebby in Mississippi State. That'll be an interesting first presser for him. And then Steve Sarkisian in Texas rounds out that day. So a lot of hype going to be around that day because you've got three brand new coaches to the SEC, that is, go on to the podium that day. And then the last day, that Thursday, July 18th, you've got Sam Pittman starting everything off with Arkansas, and then Hugh Freeze from Auburn, Mark Stoops from Kentucky, and honestly, really the most intriguing one of the day, Mike Elko for Texas A&M will be the last person to the podium. So Tennessee going on Tuesday with a very interesting group, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Zach's here. Zach, welcome, buddy. He said, hey, I switched on you guys from Facebook. Go Big Orange. Hey, welcome, Zach. We got another viewer on Facebook. I love it. Zach also said, Media Days always gets me excited because I know that means it's close to football time in Tennessee. And you're exactly right, Zach. Once Media Days hits, you got 2 weeks and practice starts and everything's rolling. So football's right around the corner, y'all. It's right around the corner. So Rustin, Herb has already given his top five or his three picks, but why don't you give yours first and then I'll give mine. And then we'll hear what everybody in the comments. If you're just joining us, we get some folks just joined us. We're about to give our three people that we think Tennessee's going to take to SEC Media Days. So let us know in the comments who you think they'll be taking. Go ahead, Rustin.
So I think that Josh Heupel and staff will probably try to send a message about how veteran they are, how tough they are, that they've got athletes, that they've got, skill guys that can do things. And I would say it's going to be some combination. If I had to pick three, I would say Brew, Cooper Mays, and James Pierce. But I could easily see Omari Thomas in that group as well. I think there'll be three of those four.
All right, so you're saying Brew, Cooper Mays, and James Pierce.
Yep.
With potentially Omari Thomas. All right, I think the James Pierce is a very intriguing one. I think that's a good pick. This was very difficult, in my opinion, to choose this because immediately I thought of Omari Thomas because he went last year. But then I was like, but since he went last year, they might try to get somebody else. I think James Pierce could be a likely candidate. I think I could almost. I mean, he's probably going to be number one draft pick. So, or at least top 3 draft picks. So, I think that's a great choice. Um, you do wonder if Nico's only a redshirt freshman, but you do wonder if they start the Nico for Heisman campaign by sending him to media days and getting him in front of people. You got to wonder if that's on their minds.
I think they can do that next year. I don't see them putting that kind of pressure on him yet. He's got a lot of skill guys around him. His job this year is to get the ball out, get it to guys where they need it, and don't hold it. So I don't see them putting that kind of pressure on him.
Then you got to wonder, well, Dylan Sampson, I mean, he's kind of a vocal leader on the team. Do you think they'll send him? But you also got to think, surely they'll reward Cooper Mays. I think that's a great choice you had there. Surely they'll reward him. But then you got to think Brew McCoy. I mean, like, surely they'll reward him. So I guess it's a good situation. You got too many guys and not enough spots to take. That's a good situation. So if I had to pick, man, this is tough. Because I mean, it's all in how they want to play it. Do they start the Nico campaign? Do you send Cooper Mays to try, or do you send Cooper and Omari because they're your 2 oldest guys, and Omari's going to get drafted, so you want him there? And do you want to send Cooper to really start the Cooper Mays draft campaign? Or do you send James Pierce Jr. because he's going to be a top 5 pick? So here's who I'm going with. I think they start the Nico Heisman campaign this month. I think Nico's there. You have to have at least one defensive guy. If Nico's an offensive guy, you got to have somebody from the defense. And I agree with you. I think that they know that they have a guy who's going to be a top 5 draft pick. They're starting his campaign to be a top 5 draft pick right now. So I think James Pierce Jr. is going to be there. So then it comes down to 3 dudes, actually 4. And you got 4 guys that you're picking one spot for. You got Omari Thomas, Brew McCoy, Cooper Mays, and Dylan Sampson. You can make the case, well, I mean, Dylan, he could come back the next year. But Dylan, if he has half a decent year this year, he's gone. He's a vocal leader on the team. So it makes you wonder if they'll send him. He's articulate in how he answers questions. He's almost as good at the podium as Jacob Warren was. Jacob Warren, there'll never be another Jacob Warren. That dude was like a executive of a Forbes company up there, I mean, like, he was incredible at the podium. Brew McCoy would be an excellent choice. But I think they throw Cooper a bone. I'm with you. I think they throw him a bone. And I think they reward him. And I think Cooper gets to go. So my 3 are, because Omari went last year, my 3 are Cooper Mays, James Pierce Jr., and Nico. Let's see what people have said in the comments. Herb said Brew McCoy, Nico, and James Pierce Jr. That's great 3 choices. Let's see. Rebecca, welcome, Rebecca. Good to have you. She said Omari Thomas, Cooper Mays, and Brew McCoy. That's 3 really good choices, in my opinion. Talk about 3 excellent representatives of the school, 3 people who would be articulate at the podium. That's 3 really good choices. Zach said Nico, Brew McCoy, and James Pierce Jr. I think it's 3 really good choices. Tony, welcome, Tony. Good to have you. He said Cooper Mays, Brew McCoy, especially Brew, but no to Nico. So who would be your 3rd, Tony? Who would be your third guy? Cooper Brew and one more. So let us know who that third one would be. Zach asked, when does the real UT take the stage? So the real UT takes the stage on Tuesday. Josh Heupel will be the third person up. That schedule on Tuesday, July 16th, is Georgia, Missouri, then us, and then Oklahoma. The fake UT takes the stage the next day on July 17th.
I thought it was interesting that they put him right after Drinkwitz and right before Brent Venables. I'm curious what the thought process was there. He's got ties to both of those schools. So I just thought it was interesting that they chose to put those back to back around him, or front to back around him.
Yeah, I don't think this was an accident at all.
Yeah.
You know, they are so hoping there is a moment where Heupel and Drinkwitz cross paths, and Heupel or somebody looks at him and says something about standing on business. you know they're hoping for that. They are hoping that somebody says something about standing on business to each other. They might even have put them back to back like that just so that somebody in one of the media members could ask them about standing on business, about that comment after the game. Definitely not a coincidence. Also, I agree with you. Definitely not a coincidence that Josh Heupel and Oklahoma are on the same day.
Yeah.
And not even that, like you said, they're back to back. So,
I almost wonder if they put all three of them in a row like that because they're just hoping somebody. They know. I mean, I don't think it's coincidence that Drinkwitz is going first. Like they know he's going to run his mouth at some point, and I think they were hoping he would say something that would cause Heupel or Venables to respond, and start something up.
I think you're exactly right. And when you look at Tennessee and Oklahoma going back to back, obviously people are going to be. I mean, that means when Heupel's at the podium, Brent Venables already be in the room, like in the facility. He'll be in the little side rooms, and now, I mean, he might even be at the back of the main room on the SEC network stage with Dari Noka and all them, while Heupel's taking the podium. So I mean, he'll be around, and so obviously they're going to be asking Heupel about, what does it mean to be playing Oklahoma in their first year in the conference as a former player. That's going to be talked about a ton. I don't think it's a coincidence as well in regards to Tennessee's first true road game is at Oklahoma. Their first SEC game is at Oklahoma. So, I mean, talk about a scheduling veiled thing, not so veiled thing. Heupel's first SEC game is Oklahoma. The first year they're in the conference at Oklahoma. I mean, come on. That was totally by design. So money. SEC's trying to make money off of that. So I think it's a very interesting pairing. And I do think it's interesting that Missouri and Tennessee are right, the same day as Georgia, because last year, I mean, there's your top three in the SEC East. So very, very interesting. Also, Oklahoma will be Nico's first true road game as of all starter. I mean, yeah, I know he started against Iowa, but that was a neutral site game. Yes, he will have a game against NC State prior to Oklahoma, but that was also a neutral site game. So the Oklahoma game will be his first true road game as a starter as of all. Let's see some of the other comments that have come through. Tony said he doesn't think Nico's earned it yet. I totally get that. I understand. I agree. I just think they're going to try to start the Nico for Heisman campaign. I think that's going to start this day. Tony also said his third person would be either James Pierce Jr. or Amari Thomas. Let's see. Zach said, is the Oklahoma-Tennessee getting pushed a little too much? Oh, I don't even think we've seen the start of it yet, Zach. They're going to milk that for all it's worth, buddy.
Yep.
They're going to, let's see. Yeah. Okay. Rebecca just hit the nail on the head. She said they're looking for any kind of drama they can get. That's exactly right. That is 100% right. And so I mean, drama sells ads on commercials because people are tuning in to see the drama. So they're trying to get it. They're trying to manufacture it. Rebecca said the order was definitely not drawn out of a hat. That's a very good point. That is an excellent point. Well played.
Well, especially when you kick it off with Brian Kelly, who just can't help himself. Somewhere he'll take a sideways shot at somebody. And then number 2 on the list for the entire week is Lane Kiffin. So you're just asking, I mean, he's at the front of the list because you're just hoping he'll just take a shot at everybody and cause everybody to have to respond for the rest of the time they're there. I mean, that's the sole purpose for him showing up to media days.
Yeah, you can't waste him on the last day because then everybody else is already gone.
Yeah.
Let's see some of the other comments that came through. Sam, welcome, buddy. He said, "What are the chances that Texas gets the easiest in-conference schedule for the first 2 years? I guess they're going to have more influence, or I guess they are going to have more influence." Yeah. So what Rustin and I last year in the month of July and August, leading up to the start of the season, we did a preview show where we went through each SEC team's schedule and predicted their record. We'll do that again this year. It'll probably be later this month. We made a lot of great friends from around the SEC as we did that. It was pretty funny. So we'll go through and we'll give our prediction for every SEC team schedule. We'll probably do that like the last Thursday of July or something like that. But that'll be fun. That's always a fun one. Zach said Missouri better be glad they had a good season last year. I don't see them winning more than 5 or 6 games this year. I can't remember their schedule off the top of my head,
It's
but
pretty weak.
I thought they had a pretty favorable schedule.
Yeah, they have one of the weakest schedules in the conference.
Zach said Brian Kelly will be dancing with his players. That was the cringiest video ever released in the recruiting video. That was pretty funny. Gail, welcome, Gail. Good to have you. She said, reading ahead, I think Texas will try to push their way around in this conference. Oh, no doubt. I mean, they already are walking in here thinking they're all that in a bag of chips. So
they're trying. They're going to find out the hard way. That is not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think they are used to having a conference of teams that are all just as powerful as they are.
Exactly. Well, Rustin, what do you think are going to be some of the big storylines this year? I mean, I know we've got, we've already been talking about a newly expanded conference with Oklahoma and Texas coming in. Obviously, every single coach that gets up on that stage is going to be asked, like, what do you think about Texas and Oklahoma joining the conference? Everybody is going to be asked that. But, you've also got some other intriguing things that surely are going to be topics of conversation, like in-ear communication, in-helmet communication on the field, stuff like that. What do you think will be the big talking points? And what do you think about the helmet communication? How do you think that Tennessee takes advantage of that or uses it or not? Or what do you think?
Tennessee was already going so fast. I almost wonder if helmet communication would actually slow them down.
Totally agree.
Because they signal everything from the sideline on the fly. Every position has a different coach to watch on the sideline. So there's really no reason to even use the helmet communication unless you're just trying to tell Nico, hey, when we run the fade right here, he's going to be open on third step or something like that. I mean, that's really helmet communication is going to be more from a Tennessee perspective through the lens of, hey, make sure you hit the slant on this one. He's going to come underneath wide open, things like that. It's not going to be calling plays because they already do that crazy fast. I think the biggest thing that's going to jump out, I was looking at the media days roster, and I think the things that are going to be most interesting to watch are, I think Lane Kiffin has a lot of pressure on him. He's got an extremely talented roster this year. He's got a deep roster. He could make some serious noise in the SEC, and he always seems to fall short in the big game. And so I think there's going to be a ton of pressure on him to finally produce in games that matter, just because of the sheer, strength of his team. I think another fun storyline is going to be who gets fired first, Sam Pittman or Shane Beamer. I think they're both squarely on the hot seat. Billy Napier could beat them both to the punch, but I think I think everybody knows Billy Napier's not going to survive this year, but I think the interesting one is going to be Shane Beamer and Sam Pittman. Which one of them actually make it through? Um, Outside of that, I think the season's going to be. There's some interesting smoke happening right now at Auburn. It'll be interesting to see if anybody at Media Days brings this up, but Hugh Freeze spent through the NIL collective and apparently spent some of the other team's money. And now the other team's coaches are not happy about that. And no one has replenished that money. And the entire athletic department are not real big fans of Hugh Freeze right now. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody asks him about that when he takes the stand. That his entire athletic department is currently angry at him for spending money that was theirs. Not a good way to win friends and influence people in the Auburn athletic office. But I think the season's going to kind of play out as we kind of expect it to. Like, I think Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss are going to be the probably top 4 teams in the SEC. I think LSU might, if Garrett Nussmeier plays at a high level, LSU might sneak in. If Garrett Nussmeier plays at a mediocre level, I could see LSU going 8-4. So it's going to be interesting to watch how all that plays out. I don't think Texas is going to be as good as everybody thinks they're going to be. I think they're in for a rude awakening, playing a real schedule that includes top 10 teams on an almost every other week time slot.
Yep.
So I think Texas is probably going to take a step backwards that they weren't expecting. But I'm interested to see how Lane Kiffin responds to the pressure and who gets fired first, Sam Pittman or Shane Beamer.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the helmet communication thing. That will 100% be asked to Heupel when he gets on the podium, for the very reason that his offense is known for going so fast. And so that's why he in particular is going to be a very intriguing person to ask that question, because how are they going to use it? Like he said multiple times, they want to snap the ball every 8 seconds. Okay. The only way you can do that is if every position group, as they're lining up, is checking their specific coach who's on the sideline, calling in their specific part of the play, and you get up to the ball and you snap it. I mean, like if they try to use the helmet communication to tell Nico the play and then he's trying to communicate that, there's no way you can snap it in 8 seconds. Now, I do think where it will come into play, we've all seen Heupel, and he did it more last year with Joe Milton than he did with Hendon Hooker, but we've all seen Heupel on like really crucial third downs. They'll get up to the ball, they'll stop, and then they'll all look back over to the sideline so that the coaching staff can get a look at the defense and then call a play. And they'll intentionally not snap it quickly. I think in those moments, while they're calling the play, I think that's when you'll see Heupel talk to Nico more, because they've already slowed it down to make sure that they get a good read on the defense and call in a play on that crucial third down. I think that's when you're going to see Heupel using that communication. I don't know, and I should have looked this up prior, but I know in the NFL, the in-ear communication cuts off at the 15-second mark on the play clock. I'm assuming that's the way it's going to be in the NCAA as well.
Yeah.
Well, you think about that. I mean, Tennessee routinely, when they're really clicking, they're routinely snapping the ball with 25 or more seconds left on the play clock. And if that's the case, then that means that there's over 10 seconds for Heupel to communicate with Nico on those rare occasions when they do slow it down to get a good read on like a crucial third down or something. That's a lot of time for a coach to talk to him. Like they're going to be able in the rare occasions when they do utilize that helmet communication for that purpose, they're going to be able to, really take advantage of that time because of how fast they are used to going. And so I agree. I don't think it's going to be like an every play thing, because that will actually slow them down on offense. Tony said Missouri should win a minimum of 9 games with that schedule. Mr. Osborne said, "Go Big Orange, gentlemen." Absolutely. He said, "Hearing rumors about Texas A&M going to the Big Ten. I haven't heard that. I'd be shocked." He said, "Clemson and Florida State coming to the SEC."
I
Um,
wouldn't be surprised by that at all. They
I
left
would.
the Big 12 because they didn't want to be with Texas, and then they kind of got forced into voting Texas and Oklahoma in. I could absolutely see them jumping ship.
I mean, I get that, but where are you going to make more money? And that's what it's all about, is money.
I mean, the way it's going right now, the Big Ten's making just as much as the SEC. Everybody else is a distant third. So, I mean, they could easily go to the Big Ten and make close to the same, and honestly play an easier schedule and not have to deal with Texas.
Yeah. I will say this: the part about Clemson and Florida State, will they be coming to the SEC? I don't know where they're going, but they're not staying in the ACC. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been saying,
I would say that's not an if, but a win. I think they're, the minute they find a loophole in that contract, they're gone.
I mean, like we said in the past, I think it was last spring, maybe last summer, one of the board of directors for Florida State was publicly saying it's a matter of time, essentially. Like, I'm trying to remember his exact words, but well, I think he said what you just said. He said it's not really if we leave the ACC, but more a matter of when.
Well, they were publicly trying to facilitate Saudi Arabian benefactors to pay off their debt to the ACC so they could leave. I mean, I've never seen a group so anxious to get out of that conference.
So it'll be interesting to see where they go. I definitely think the ACC will not be a thing 3 years from now. I mean, but let's see, you got the 24 season, 25 season, the 26 season. If they make it that long,
yeah,
that might be their last season.
When that contract runs out, you're going to see the ACC change drastically.
Yeah, they're running on borrowed time right now for sure.
Hey, before you move on, I wanted to say one thing. I ran into Mr. Osborne today in a grocery store, and he came up and introduced himself, which I was really thankful he did, because you all can't see what we see. I don't think on our screen, your all's avatars are about this big. And so if your face is on that avatar, we have no idea what you look like, because it is microscopic. So, I appreciate the fact that he came up and introduced himself, because I never would have recognized him because I can't see him on here. So I just wanted to use that to say to everybody, number one, we appreciate all of you who watch all the time. Number
Absolutely.
two, if you do see us, like, I didn't know he lived near us, had no idea. If you do see us somewhere, whether it's at a Tennessee game or out in public somewhere, please come up and introduce yourself.
Yes, that'd be
Because
awesome.
it's just cool for us to know that, who you are, and finally put a name with a face. And he kept apologizing because I was with my family, and I was like, don't apologize. I I appreciate the fact that you came up and introduced yourself. Because like I say,
Absolutely.
we can't, your faces are literally this big. We can't possibly recognize you. So, please, if you see us anywhere, come up and introduce yourself.
Absolutely. That'd be awesome. I mean, y'all are the reason we love doing this to begin with. I mean, like, it's so much fun getting to interact with you all and hearing your comments. And that's what makes this so fun. I mean, Rustin and I love talking about it just anyway. That's why we started it. But to get to meet you all and see you in real person, that'd be awesome. So that's really cool. That's awesome. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure and where you meet people. There you go.
Yep. And I didn't even say Publix. You guessed it.
Tony said, "I already hate Texas and that crud orange."
Amen. My dog threw up yesterday, and I thought for a second she was trying to draw the Texas logo based on the coloring of
it. Gail said the SEC needs to look for some of the other teams to replace Texas. I think the money's talking there for sure.
Yep.
And Sam said the commissioner's so taken by the money and views Texas Springs, I believe he's already given Texas their way. And there's probably a little bit of that going on.
I definitely think, I mean, they absolutely bring more revenue. I mean, they shut down the Longhorn Network to join the SEC. So they definitely bring more money. I wouldn't say Greg Sankey's giving them their way though. I think they're going to learn the hard way that there's a lot of power brokers in this conference, and no one gets a say over anybody else.
Mr.
Except
Osborne
maybe
said,
Vanderbilt.
Mr. Osborne said, "You're tall." He was surprised by your height. Yeah. I had somebody tell me that one time. They had only seen me on virtual meetings, and they saw me in person. They're like, "You're taller than I thought you were." Yeah. That's cool. He said he grew up in the town y'all saw each other in. He said he remembered when they had only one McDonald's.
It's a little bigger now.
Yeah, a little bit. Let's see some of the other comments that came through. I'm trying to find where I left off. Where did I leave off? Hey, Minowaki joined us. Hey, Minowaki. She said, "Wow, I'm late. Evening, bros. There's only one UT in Tennessee. Is the reason those two teams aren't called Mexico and Mexico A&M." Go Big Orange. Absolutely. Absolutely. Zach said Texas and Oklahoma are in for a rude awakening coming to the SEC. I don't consider them true SEC teams right now. Welcome, Herb. He said, "How many times have you watched baseball win the championship?" Me, multiple times. I love it. They replayed it on the Tennessee Takeover Day. It was the capstone. Of course, it was. It was the primetime capstone event. At the end of the day, it was like what 9-12 or something like that.
So, did you watch all those Takeover days? Did you look at what everybody's schedules were of what they offered?
Not all of them, but I did look at Tennessee's entire schedule.
I hate to keep banging on Vanderbilt, but their schedule of what they celebrated and like their high points of the year, like
I know what you're going to say already.
It was very much like, hey, can we name 6 positive things that happened this year so we can do this? I mean, it was so bad. They were scrounging to come up with anything.
They had a football game on there that was like a win over a FBS school or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
That's rough. That's rough. Our football games that were on were the Iowa Bowl game and the South Carolina game. Those two were the ones that were on for us. Let's see. Zach said Sam Pittman will be and will not be fired. He's more respected, I think. I mean, when he first got there, for sure.
Yeah, he is squarely on the hot seat,
Yeah,
and there are some Arkansas donors who are ready to pull that plug at any moment.
I just kicked my camera by accident, so like my whole thing just shook. Sorry about that. Let's see. Tony said, "I don't like saying it, but Texas should win at least 10 games with that schedule."
It's possible.
I think that's fair, for sure. I mean, it's a legit chance you might see 5 SEC teams in the playoff this year.
I think the big question mark for them is going to be running back and defense. Like if their running backs produce at the level they have in the past, and if their defense can slow down good offenses, because their defense is going to see offenses more good offenses more consistently than they ever have. So it's going to be a little bit of a culture shock for them.
Mr. Jones thinks the headsets will make us go even faster on offense.
Could.
Logistically, I don't know how that could happen, but
I
think if they're going 8 seconds a snap,
I think if Heupel's talking directly to Nico, the rest of the offense just watches the signal callers like they always have, but Heupel can actually tell him, "Hey, here's what you're going to see. Throw this route." If this backer bails, hit the tight end up the seam. If this backer drops, hit the quick out. He can literally tell him what his reads are while everybody else is taking the signals. So it potentially could speed things up.
Zach's not sold on Texas yet. He said they're going to win 7 max. I think they'll win more than 7 for sure.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be preseason like number 2 or 3 in the country. So, Sam said Texas voluntarily signed up to play their out of conference opponents. Their in-conference opponents are not in the upper half of the teams in the country. I'm assuming is what he's referring to.
Yeah.
In the Big 12, I guess is what he's talking about. Mr. Jones said we will still use the sideline cards and signalings. The headset primarily will be for Heupel and Nico.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that. That's the only thing it can be is him to talk to Nico. That's it. Because there's only one dude on the field that gets to have it in their ear, and that's Nico. Sam said, talk is Texas A&M has already been in talks with the Big Ten for months. Interesting.
I've heard that
very
rumor.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor. They were talking to them as soon as it even became a conversation of Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. Texas A&M was already talking to the Big Ten then.
Rusty, welcome, Rusty. He said there's going to be. He was when we were talking about the ACC disbanding. He said there'll be a big fight to get North Carolina into another league. Yeah, I mean they'll be a hot commodity. Money. They'll be a hot commodity.
I could see them and NC State both. I could see them going to the Big Ten because Virginia and Virginia Tech are pushing hard to come to the SEC. Why Virginia wants to, I have no idea. But those two schools are pushing hard to go to the SEC, which would lead you to think Duke, NC State, and Chapel Hill will probably go to the Big Ten.
Zach said, "But let's be honest here. I don't care about anybody's record besides Tennessee. They're going 15-0 winning today. Actually, I think they'd have to go depending
16.
on it. I mean, if they're undefeated, they'll get a first round bye, so it would be 16-0 in the new setup. But I'm signing me up, Zach. That's great, man. Sign me up. I love it." Herb said North Carolina and Clemson, West Virginia. Virginia Tech to the SEC. I mean, how many teams are we going to have in this conference? I mean, if it ends up being a big three with Big 12, Big 10, and SEC.
I mean, the reality is what we're probably moving towards is 3 20-team power conferences.
Yeah.
And I would trade Vanderbilt right now for any of the teams we just mentioned.
Yeah.
Vandy can go play in the Ivy League for all I care.
Rusty said relegate Vanderbilt to the American League.
Yep.
Rusty's not a huge fan of the designated hitter in baseball.
I think he means the American Athletic Conference. But I'm not sure Vandy could compete in the AAC. That's what I'm saying. I think they're going to have to go to the Ivy League.
Gail said Texas A&M and some other teams are going to be looking for a conference. Zach said if he ever sees you in person, he's going to give you a big old hug, Rustin. I like that. Let's see. Anderson, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said we need to sponsor a tailgate so everybody can meet up in person. That sounds like a great idea. If we can ever work that out. Saturdays or sometime. Well, surely we can find a Saturday sometime. That'd be cool, man. We'll see what we can do. That's a good idea. Sam said Rustin put up Texas in conference schedule.
So I've got it.
You want me to put it on the screen?
I'm not sure if I can.
I mean, I can pull it up and do it real quick.
Sure. You can do that as I'm talking. So they start off with Mississippi State. That's a win. Then they got Oklahoma. The Red River rivalry is always a coin toss.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. Then they've got Georgia. That's a loss. So 1-1. Then Vanderbilt, then Florida, then Arkansas, then Kentucky. That's 4 wins in a row. So now they're 5-1. They finished the season at Kyle Field against Texas A&M, which could be interesting. I think they would beat Texas A&M, but weirder things have happened in Kyle Field. So I think they're probably 6-1 in conference. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, sorry, 7-1 in conference. And then I think the Oklahoma game is a toss-up because the Red River rivalry is always the weirdest game ever. So I think they could easily go 8-1 in the conference, but they could also go 7-2.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to predict it right now, they're going to beat Colorado State. I think they'll beat Michigan, actually. I think they'll beat UTSA. They're going to beat Louisiana Monroe. They're going to beat Mississippi State. Mississippi State's going to – all our friends down in Mississippi State who did not enjoy our prediction last year, I don't think you're going to enjoy our prediction this year either. But Mississippi State, they're not going to beat them. I think they'll beat Oklahoma. I do think they'll beat Mississippi State. I do think they'll beat Oklahoma. They'll lose to Georgia. So when they hit Georgia, talk about a massive game. I think Texas and Georgia both walk into that game undefeated. Georgia has to go to Texas. So I mean, like I got them 6-0, 6-1 after that game. Then they have to go to Vanderbilt. That's a tough place to play. So 7-1. They'll beat Florida 8-1. They'll beat Arkansas 9-1. They're going to beat Kentucky 10-1. I think they're going to beat Texas. I mean, I think they're going to end 11-1.
When we do our predictions, I'm going to call them 11-1, but I also could easily see them being 9-3.
Yeah, the Oklahoma and Michigan games are going to be the ones that are going to be the toss-up games, in my opinion. So
I wouldn't overlook that Kyle Field game at the end.
Oh, for sure.
Sark tends to have at least one choke job a season. And Kyle Field's a tough place to go, and Bobby Petrino is going to be doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and you never know what might happen there.
Well, Petrino's at Arkansas.
Who did I say?
Mm-hmm. You said Bobby Petrino.
Oh, yeah. It's not.
Mike person. Elko.
Yeah.
But the factor there is it's at A&M, and they are going to be on a different level of hype for that game. They are going to want to beat Texas so bad. Matt Mitchell in that SEC Shorts video that they did with Matt Mitchell and Josh Mancuso, they already mentioned it in that video. Matt Mitchell was talking about it in that one. That's going to be a big time game for sure.
I meant Colin Klein. Colin Klein is A&M's offensive coordinator. He's a Bobby Petrino former assistant.
Gotcha. Sean said, "Evening, y'all. Hey, buddy, good to have you. Good to have you." Anderson said, "Well, how tall are you?" He's 6'2". That's pretty good. Mino Aggie said, "Smash that like button for sure. For sure. That's a great idea. Good advice." Zach said, "Does Matthews get a lot of number 1 or 2 snaps?" Who are we talking about?
Mike Matthews. He will not be starting. He is not. He is not going to be in the starting 3.
No. I agree. Let's see. Sam said, "Wonder if Heupel will have a snap before the 15 seconds are up to create confusion." Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, for sure. They want to go every 8 seconds. That's their goal.
Yep.
Let's see. Anderson said, "Vandy shows could have been them in Tennessee versus Tennessee in baseball. Vandy rowing, Vandy fencing, and their chess team tryouts." That could have been their lineup on the SEC takeover. I like the chess team tryouts. That's pretty good.
It was so bad. I mean, at one point they did have gymnastics on. Like that's how bad they were scrounging.
Mr. Jones bringing out his Vandy puns. Sam said, "But Rustin, what about bowling?" I could have had those on there.
That could have been an option.
Mina Laggy said, Mina Laggy is our history buff on this show. She loves all things history, and she brings out some really good American history stuff. She said an old Vandy jab is instead of the cheer, push them back, way back. Vandy cheers, repel them, make them relinquish the ball. I like that. That's actually pretty cool in my opinion. Let's see. Mina Laggy said, Valbro's tailgate. Yeah, man. Hey, we'll see what we can do. Let's see. Zach said, I asked this on Locked On Vols. I think that's Eric Kaner. He said, will Nico stay for a couple of years? Does McIntyre stay? Yes.
Yeah.
They know the path.
You want 2 years between every starting quarterback. You just want to stack them like that every 2 years.
So, McIntyre comes in this year. He redshirts. You got Nico play 2 years. McIntyre takes over as and I say redshirt, but that still means he can play in 4 games and
Right.
still and a bowl game and preserve his red shirt. So, McIntyre takes over after that. You got before McIntyre, you got Merklinger. I couldn't think of his name. So you got Jake Merklinger. He's redshirting this year.
Yeah, I think he's probably a casualty in all this. I could see him in a year or so transferring.
And then after, maybe on August 3rd, when Faison announces where he's going, you might have him coming after McIntyre. So, people know they want to play for Heupel. If you're a quarterback, they know. And let's be honest, you only need 1 good year as a starter. Yeah. That's it. You have 1 good year as a starter in Heupel's offense. You put up video game numbers, you get drafted. I mean, that's really all there is to it.
Or if you're Anthony Richardson, you can just have one good workout and make it in the lottery.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's really all you got to have is 1 good year. And I mean, my goodness, think about that. I mean, they can sell recruits on, listen, you don't run the risk of getting hurt over multiple years. You play 1 good year and you get drafted in the first round. Yeah, sign me up. Or maybe not the first round, but you get drafted. Tony said if Florida State comes, so should Miami. Let Clemson go to the Big Ten.
I think you'd probably see Miami come with them, but there's definitely mutual interest between the SEC and Clemson. That conversation's been going on for a long time.
Let's see. Zach said, I'm hoping Georgia's dream gets broken in week 1. I don't remember who they're playing in week 1. I have to look that up. Mina Laggy said Texas is going 9-3. Let's see.
Georgia opens with Clemson.
They're going to be Clemson.
Yes, they are. Like a rented mule.
Let's see. Tony said Georgia wins at least 11 games. I agree with that. Sam is exactly right. Sam said there's that football game it's going to be nothing compared to the next Texas versus Texas A&M baseball game.
That's a 3-game series that every umpiring crew in the SEC is going to be going, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Give it to anybody
I'm busy
else.
that weekend.
They're going to be chucking people left and right. Pitchers are going to be plunking guys every other hitter. It's going to be absolute chaos.
Yeah. When they're handing out assignments at the beginning of the year, they're going to be like, I think I'm going to be sick that weekend when they play each other. Hey, Big Orange, he said we're quickly approaching football time in Tennessee. Absolutely we are. We're quickly approaching it. Absolutely. It's right around the corner. I mean, it is literally right around the corner. Let's see. Sean said Faison ain't scared either. Hope we land him. I think we will, actually.
Yeah. And again, you can redshirt him, put a 2-year gap between him and McIntyre, and it all just keeps flowing.
Mina Laggy said only one place to get insight and answers. That's a Volvo. Hey, I like that. That's good stuff. Appreciate that very, very much. Thank you, Mina Laggy. Zach said, yeah, they open with Clemson. Zach said, hey, he can have hope, can he? Let's see. She said, talking about being a history person, she was referring to our last show with Reed, and he was like, we need a segment with Rustin reads history. I think we should. And we should have like a little intro theme music. And it's like, okay, everybody, it's time to gather around for another episode of Rustin reads history. Let's see here.
What Sam just said is my biggest fear.
Sam said, with the increased schedule demands, injuries and team depth aren't going to determine the records. We need more than one quarterback.
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like you can't have just 5 good offensive linemen.
We are one play away from the Gaston Moore show.
Whoa, sling it, Gaston. Let him sling it around there. No one throws like Gaston. No. Yeah, for sure. And like I said, Merklinger, he can get it. I mean, really 5 games if you include a bowl game.
Yeah.
He can have 4 regular season games and one the bowl game. So I'm assuming they're going to say the college football playoff would count against him.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
I mean, that would count against him. But if something crazy happens, they don't make the playoff, then he could play in that game too. So
I just don't think I don't think he's ready. Like when you watch video of them like in spring practice, the things that they're talking to him about, they're basic things. Like it's fundamental stuff with his feet. It's how to properly open his hips on an out route to his non-throwing side. I mean, it's stuff that you're not talking to a starter about. So I don't think he's ready. I think it's Nico and Gaston and nobody else.
Yep. Hopefully, hopefully they get out to some crazy huge leads and Navy Schuler can make an appearance here or there. That'd be good to get Navy some snaps there. Carl joined us. Welcome, Carl. Good to have you, buddy. He said, "What's up, fellas? Good to see you, man." Sam said, "Get the fire hoses out for those Texas games, Texas A&M." Oh man, it's gonna be crazy. Let's see. Like you said, story time with Rustin. That's what we need to call it. And Carl said Rustin could read history with Paul Harvey voice. Zach said, "If you can't catch Nico, he can't get hurt." Sam said he needs to run. Nico's got the running part of the game. He needs to work on the passing part. I mean, yeah, everybody does. I do remember though one time last year. I've said this multiple times now, but it was Nico's first pass against UTSA, and he threw it to Dante Thornton, hit him right in the numbers, and Dante dropped it. And dude behind me, 2 rows behind me, goes, "Well, that wasn't a good pass." And I'm like, "What?" It cracked me up. It still cracks me up every time I think about it. Dante had a couple drops in that game there, but I'm hoping the Dante Thornton that we see is the Dante Thornton that we saw the last 2 games before he got injured. That's what I'm hoping, because he turned it on especially at Missouri. Like that was his best game. Unfortunately, he got hurt in it. Carl said, "In fairness, fellas, if any team lost their starter, it would be bad." Totally agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's 3 teams that could weather that storm. Ole Miss has Walker Howard as their backup. He's every bit as good as Jackson Dart. Texas has Arch. So he could walk in and do exactly what Quinn Ewers is doing. And then Georgia has Gunnar Stockton, and he's the next Carson Beck. Like they're just stockpiling quarterbacks, and they've got Jaden Rashada sitting over there as well. And he will be immediately eligible. So actually, they could go with either of those guys. So
they're
those
set
3
at quarterback.
Yeah, those 3 teams could have a quarterback go down and be just fine.
Tony said he's already predicted that we win 9 with Nico. If he gets hurt, maybe 7. That's probably fair. Yeah. Zach said I was 3rd best defense, and he scored and scored and scored. Zach said, "Where's your confidence?" 16-0. I love it. Zach is the eternal optimist. I love it. It makes me happy. Nice. You have arrived now, Rustin. Mr. Jones has made you a punt. Is it Histo Rustin? There you go. That means you've arrived. Yeah. Carl's right. It's talking season, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so just so everybody knows, I mentioned this right when we started, but just so everybody knows now, we got 65 people watching with us right now, 39 on X, 1 on Facebook, and 25 on YouTube. So just so everybody knows, we will not be live again until, and this is my fault, this is the way it's happening. Our next live show will be Thursday, July 18th. We'll miss 2 Sundays and a Thursday because tomorrow I'm in theory, assuming everything plays out the way we expect it to, I'll be on the road, literally in the car, in probably South Georgia, at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. So, because of that, we won't be live this Sunday, tomorrow, or or this upcoming Thursday, or the Sunday after that. But that next Thursday, we're here, baby. We are here.
That's the day after SEC Media Days. Are we picking our predictions that night for every SEC school?
Do you want to? You want to wait till the next Thursday?
I say do it then. We'll be
right,
fresh
cool.
off all those coaches talking.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean that will be the last day of media days. Like
we can tag hashtag Hail State in the video and resurface all of our Mississippi State friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of fun last July, buddy. That was a lot of fun. And there was that one dude from from Missouri who bet us his car.
Mm-hmm.
And that was interesting too. Zach's right. He did predict a baseball national championship. That's a good point. That's a good point. Like you said, how many thought Daryl Dickey would come in after T-Rob went out and do what he did? That's fair.
Sure.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Mr. Jones said Tennessee undefeated, every other SEC team winless. I don't even know if that's physically possible, but maybe. Carl said, y'all get a break too. Y'all are, hey, we appreciate it, Carl. Yeah, we'll be out of town. So, we're looking forward to a little vacation for sure. Zach said our thumbnail for that first show back needs to be Josh Heupel and Steve Sarkisian fighting each other.
I'm sure there's an AI product that can create that.
Oh, I guarantee you there is Mid-Journey or something for sure. Mina Leggy said she knows Zach predicted a natty. She's right. He did. And Mr. Jones said it's just going to be all ties. That's how they're all going to be winless because it's just going to be ties. I like it. I like it. Well, we love you guys. Seriously. Like, we love this. It's so much fun. We absolutely love this. So
let me add one more thing. Because the Diamond Vols podcast confirmed it this week. July 14th through the 16th is the Major League Baseball draft. 2 years ago, they had Tony Vitello on as a commentator for round 1. They have announced that he's going to be back this year. If you saw it 2 years ago when he was on for round 1, he took over the show. Like, he was so good, the commentators started deferring to him on almost every single player. He was amazing. So I have to think, because of how many guys the Vols are going to have in the first 2 rounds, he's probably going to be on night 1 on July 14th for the first round. And if he is, that will be must-see TV. You will not want to miss that.
That's good. I'm glad you said that. Carl said, but Zach picks a natty every year. Every season, I like that. He does. And that's what makes it fun. Absolutely. Tony said the last 3 years we laid an egg on the road one time each season. Do y'all think we have a game like that this year? And if so, which road game is it? I know it sounds crazy, but for me, it's Arkansas. That's not crazy. That's totally legit. That could happen, because especially if they come off a win against, that would be the week after they play at Oklahoma.
We got to bye.
Oh, we do?
There's a week in between Oklahoma and Arkansas.
Oh, then no, I don't think they're going to lose at Arkansas. I thought it was back-to-back weeks. So I was wrong.
I mean, if you're asking, you said there's laid an egg on the road one time each season. Yeah, I think it'll be Georgia. I think we'll lay an egg in Athens.
Now, if there's another game, I hope it's not Oklahoma. I hope. that Oklahoma game is going to be vitally important to the rest of the season and the success we enjoy the rest of the season. If they lose that game, that could indicate not a good projection for the rest of the season. If they win that game, oh boy, they are set up really, really well.
I mean, it's not going to be at Vanderbilt, so really the only options are Georgia, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. So Arkansas is after a bye week. We're not going to lose after a bye week, so it comes down to Oklahoma and Georgia.
And there's numbers behind that. Like Heupel has proven that they are very, very good after a bye week.
Yeah,
and so that's why I would say that I don't think they'll lose after a bye week. They're gonna. I mean, I don't think we beat Georgia at Georgia, so I'd say that's the game that we lose. Mr. Jones said the NCAA video game makers must hate Tennessee. Apparently they do. I agree. Apparently they do. Carl's pumped about Tony being on the draft show. Like he said, yeah, he would take over. He's good. Zach said, good night, Russ and Evan. Go Big Orange. Enjoy your week off. Hey, we appreciate that, Zach. Thank you so much, man. Let's see. Sam said that same night, can we talk about the draft and what Tennessee returns when we come back from the break? Yeah, we sure could. That would be very appropriate for that night because that would be right after the draft. So
actually, it probably make more sense to talk about that night because last year when we did those predictions, that took a long time.
Oh, it took 2 hours.
So maybe save that for Sunday night and Thursday night. Thursday night we'll talk draft and where guys went, and also that's actually a good idea because not only will we know where guys have gone in the draft, by that point we'll pretty much know where everybody in the portal is going as well.
Yeah.
By the way, Tennessee's got 5 studs on campus this weekend in the portal, 4 left-handed pitchers and a first baseman. So they're making some moves.
So yeah, that's a good idea. We'll talk about the MLB draft that Thursday night, and then that Sunday night. That's going to be a long show.
Yeah,
it took over 2 hours, and that was with 14 teams. We're adding 2 more, so we'll dedicate that whole night just to that. Minalagi said the fact that Zach predicts a natty every year, that's why we love him. I love it. That's great. Everything's cool. Mr. Jones said Tennessee as a school is never losing a game in any sport ever again. Nice. Carl said Vols by 50 halfway through the season. Every NCAA Division I team forfeits rather than be pummeled by the Vols. There you go. I love it. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Tony said no one expects us to beat Georgia. I agree with the bye week, but we should beat Arkansas. That would be a big disappointment. I agree. It would be a letdown game for sure. I agree if they beat them. I mean, listen, we all know anything can happen on any Saturday. So it could happen absolutely. I just statistically, I hope it doesn't. That'd be a thing there. Sam said, "Thanks, Vol Bros. Enjoy your time off. Hey, we appreciate that very much. Thank you so much." Well, we hope all of you have a great week ahead of you. 12 days. That'll be the next time because today's the 6th, right? Is that right? Yeah. So 12 days we'll be back. We'll be talking about the MLB draft. That'll be Thursday night, July 18th. And then Sunday, immediately following that, which I think is the 21st. Is that right? Yeah. I think that's right. That Sunday night, that'll be a big show, and that'll be a long show, and we will do the entire SEC football preseason predictions. That's going to be a long show, so everybody wants to join in that night, and bring a snack because that's going to be a long show. Let's see. Oh, Mr. Jones made a good point. It wouldn't be awesome if every team forfeited because then we wouldn't get to see him play. That's a good point. Fair point. mean, like I said, 12 days. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's my fault. But yeah,
Evan has to go on vacation.
yeah, that's my bad. So we'll be back. We'll be back July the 18th.
18th.
Yep. Tony said, "Thanks guys for letting us be a part of the show." Hey, we appreciate you so much, Tony. Really, I mean that we love it. That's what y'all are why we enjoy it so much. It's fun talking to y'all. Carl said Heupel will show what a precision offense he runs, and Rodney's D line will live in every backfield. Hey, I totally agree.
It's true.
I think that is a accurate prediction for this upcoming season. Let's see. No, I'm not having a vasectomy. That's not why we're going on break. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I love it that this is
That will
July.
never die.
That's still, yeah, it's still a joke. That's great. That's
4
great.
months later, it's still alive.
She just clarified another, and it's funny that she had to clarify. I knew what she was talking about. Let's see. I mean, like you said, will Reed be on too? That's a great question. Reed has actually already given his predictions, and so if anybody goes and picks up Football Time in Tennessee magazine, in the back of the magazine, let's see if I can find it real quick. They have. Oh wait, no, they didn't give predictions. It's just the schedule. My bad. It's just the schedule for every SEC team. So maybe we can ask him if he wants to join that night. That'd make it even longer, but that's okay. I mean, it'll be maybe we can have Reed on just to do his predictions.
Yeah,
maybe we'll do that.
He doesn't want the Mississippi State fans in his mentions.
That was a fun 48 hours. Yeah, they were. I'm sure we were getting like a lot of new people seeing our stuff because like they were really pumping it out there. Sam said hot enough here in Chattanooga, so head on down to South Georgia. Yeah, it's gonna be a little warm where we're going for sure. But that's cool. We didn't know you were here in Chattanooga with us, Sam. That's cool, man. Maybe we'll see you at Publix sometime. That's awesome. If we do, please say hi. That'd be great. Let's see. Yeah. Carl said, when is the MLB draft again?
July 14 through 16. And I would assume the 14th starts at 5 o'clock Eastern. I would assume Tony will be on that first night.
Let's see. Tony said, oh, Sam's in Ringgold. Gotcha. That's cool. That's awesome. Tony said, last thing, having a heart cath the 24th. Stress test a little concerning. Prayers appreciated. Hey, Tony, I promise you, buddy, I'll pray for you. Absolutely. I promise you, I'll give you my word. We hope that everything works out well, that you get good news from that procedure, and that, smooth procedure. That's what we're hoping for. No complications. I assure you, I promise you, I'll pray for you. Mino Laggy said, did y'all talk about Dalton Connect? So I'm so glad you said that. I meant to, and I forgot to. Tonight was Dalton, or I guess this afternoon was Dalton's debut in a Lakers jersey. Not the best debut, honestly, for him. He started kind of slow from the field. He was only like 1 of 7 to start the game. He did hit a good 3 from the corner. That was nice to see. He was in the first half. He was 1 from 2 from the free throw line. I got to watch the second half yet. I recorded it.
He finished with 12 points. He was 3 of 12 from the field. Missed 4 free throws, or he easily could add 16. He just looked out of sorts. He didn't look like he was comfortable yet. It comes with time. I mean, plus minus rise. He and Bronny were the 2 worst players on the court for either team, so not a great start. But he'll be fine. I mean, it's the summer league. It's not realistic.
He did have at least 2, maybe 3 assists in the first half. First play, the first time he touched the ball, he got an assist, so that was good. But if he ended with 12, that means he scored 8 in the second half, so that's good.
Yeah, mostly at the free throw line. He finished with 4 assists, 2 rebounds, but his plus or minus, which This is how bad the Lakers starting five was. Their entire starting five were in the minus column. He and Bronny both were minus 15. The Kings' entire starting five were in the plus column. So he and Bronny were technically the two worst players on the court today. But again, it's the summer league. It's not realistic.
Yeah, hopefully the next outing for him will be a little bit better. Hopefully he sees some shots fall early, and that propels him to a better performance. Carl said Dalton looked like he was in a pickup game, not used to playing as a team. 100% agree. Totally agree. Sadly, that's what the NBA looks like a lot of the time. So totally agree. Mr. Jones said LeBron was telling him not to show Bronny up. Oh man. Well, we do appreciate you guys so much. He said next we gotta watch Vescovy play. When does he? I don't even know when he plays. When does he get to play?
He's in the summer league with the Warriors. So
right. I didn't realize Yves Pons was on
the Kings.
The Kings, so that was cool getting to see him and Dalton on the court at the same time today. That was cool.
So he got in. Actually, he played 19 minutes. He played 19 minutes tonight against the Heat. Didn't score. Had 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Played well though. He was plus 17. The Warriors killed the Heat tonight by almost 50.
Oh, Carl said he came on after Dalton. I didn't even realize that. I missed that one. That was my fault.
Yep.
Well, we do appreciate everybody joining us. We hope that all of you have a good 12 days ahead of you. We look forward to seeing everybody again. Man, that week when we come back, there's a lot happening. You got the MLB draft. You got SEC media days. There's going to be a lot going on. So that'll be a fun show back on the 18th, and then another one on that Sunday. So hope everybody has a great evening. We look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday, July 18th. And go Vols, baby. Go Vols.